Hi, and welcome to another episode of Mompreneurs Making Moves. I'm your host, Amarai Murdoch. And if you have a business and you're trying to figure out how to position yourself in a place where you can grow sustainably while also prioritizing your joy, I always like to, have a quick plug. We need to talk because I have the executive operations agency support for you. But today, to get to our episode, I'm so honored and so excited to have Alexa Starks. She is one of the top leading motherhood voices on LinkedIn and is doing some incredible things. And actually, first, Alexa, how are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, no, thank you for your time. You are one of the busiest people I know, and I don't know how you're doing it all. Like seriously, I wonder. I think, wow, she's
Well,
just
early mornings, late nights, and a lot of caffeine. Yeah.
yes. Well, I usually, have this little introduction where I read your bio and we kind of talk about the things you got going on, but I would just love to hear from you because you have so much we could, cover. I would like to know what are the top two things that you are working on? And I also want to dive a little bit into your rebranding because that's super
Yes.
exciting and it's just powerful to see the movement you're creating. And so let's start with what are the two main things that you're working on right now that you would say these are the things that I am known for currently?
That's really good. Currently, I'm known for, I think the maternal strengths report has been like the biggest, most recent report that's kind of blown up or at least blown up my little universe sphere of motherhood and maternal strengths. The second is our upcoming National Working Motherhood Week, which I'm so honored that you're part of. And that's going to be this incredibly impactful week in September, virtual for any working mom across the US, with a documentary, live panels, discussions, networking, a lot's going on. So, those are the two really big things. And there's going to be a report that comes out of that event that we'll announce shortly as well.
Amazing.
So, a lot going on.
Okay. Yeah. No, I love it. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, I will have that information linked below. I'll have some links where you can try to connect or at least follow Alexa. And then I'll also have the information for the two things that she mentioned. There's a link for the report, and then there is the week that's coming up in September, as she mentioned. You guys will definitely want to be a part of it, even if you don't know exactly what
Yes.
we're all doing. Just sign up, add your email because you're gonna want
Mhm.
to how we're growing. And it has just an amazing community of moms that's waiting for you on the other side. Okay. So the rebranding, let's talk about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us quickly, you went from what name to your current name?
Mhm.
And then also what inspired that? How did you birth that new identity, if you will, the renewed identity?
Mhm.
Super curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally started my business as Executive Moms, and that was more maternity leave coaching, corporate workshops around managers and supporting working moms. And last year, I felt that it was never solving the problems that working moms face. It was just putting band-aids, little tiny band-aids on to like plug up the holes on a sinking ship, right? And so we pivoted towards this broader systemic redesign. And that meant data and research and the metrics behind the realities of working motherhood. That meant campaigns and advocacy and events for working motherhood and the storytelling arm, right? The change in perception. And that meant we have this magazine, our Mothered magazine, that shows real examples of strong, capable, ambitious working moms who are leading teams in corporate or building businesses. And so the reason why we chose Mothered Media is specific because media is all about perception and narrative and influencing ideas and opinions and culture. And that's the goal is providing the data to change your opinion, to change the support structures to shift the narrative of how working moms are perceived and valued by society, to change workplace culture and opinions about working motherhood. And so it was very important to me that that name reflected that. It wasn't just company. It's a media company.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. That is just amazing. I get so inspired. I'm so
Thank
inspired
you.
right now. So how can we help when we hear about this? What are ways we can get involved?
Yes. So if you go to motheredmedia.com, you can view the different reports and insights that we have. You can view the events. So right now we have our National Working Motherhood Week coming up in September. In the spring, we're going to have a European summit that will add there eventually. And you can view the magazine. So we have our monthly magazine come out, Mothered Magazine. You can view that, see those real examples, just sharing, commenting, viewing, talking about it, and especially the reports and the data. It's so impactful to have real data behind working motherhood because if you want to make a change, companies don't like change. Workplaces don't like change. It's like moving mountains to get them to change anything. But what will help them change is data. And so that was a big thing. So if you are looking to influence the culture, the workplace culture at your company, or if you're looking to, we actually had two people use our maternal strengths report. They just messaged me about this to help influence their manager and get them a promotion. Literally, they showed, yeah, they're like, here's all the data behind how much motherhood impacts your leadership skills, and I want this promotion because of this. And they got it. And
Wow.
so you can absolutely leverage the data in the reports to your advantage as well. So just interact. We're all over social media as well.
I love that because a lot of the time, I think in society, speaking of media, they say that we can empower ourselves and it's very emotional. And there's nothing
Hmm.
wrong with our emotions. It is emotional. We are emotional beings, but it's even more powerful when you actually have, like you're talking about, tangible data and you're backing yourself with that data because then it's arguing against the data, not against a feeling. Not
Hmm.
against like, it's actually, like, data. It's just hardcore data, and that's even more powerful than just getting people riled up and having emotions.
Yeah.
So, I love this new approach, and, man, that's really
Thank
exciting.
you.
Okay, so one thing I would love to know, and I'm literally asking you questions that have been on my mind, so I don't know, like, how sure this is, but just out of curiosity, what
Go
is
for it.
something that has been on your heart as a mom that you are either A, learning yourself as you go currently in this season of life, or B, something that you've been thinking about when it comes to just motherhood in general? Like maybe it's a specific type of support you've been looking for that, that moms might be looking for as well. Or maybe there's a certain topic like, man, I just wonder how other moms are taking this. Or maybe there's something in the news or in the media that you have noticed that you're like, I don't appreciate that, or I do appreciate this. Is there a lesson that you've been learning that you've been thinking about sitting on, going through, or something that has stood out to you in relation to motherhood that's been on your mind lately?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. I may lump this into one larger thing, but it's this idea that we put so much pressure on ourselves as moms to be perfect. And it's very unrealistic. And we're setting ourselves up for failure naturally because we're setting the bar so high, right? And society and media sets the bar of what a working mom should look like so high. And so when we don't reach that, we fail. We internalize it as our failures, as our shortcomings, as we're not good enough and we're not perfect enough. And when in reality, we are a good mom, we are a good employee or business owner or entrepreneur, whatever it is. And the more you can lower your expectations or lower the standard and stress less about
Mm.
making every little moment perfect, the more you'll enjoy the whole journey and you'll enjoy motherhood and parenting and building a business or your job because you're matching the expectations to reality. And I think that's part of the media side of what we're doing is the reality. And that's
Right.
why the magazine is so important because we talk about what it really looks like to build a business or to lead a team and raise kids. And we need those real examples to help level set what has been told in media and TV and movies thus far. And I feel like so many moms put so much unnecessary pressure on themselves. And I have absolutely gone through that phase of trying to make every little moment perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it really hit me when my husband had to go on a work trip a couple months ago for like a whole week. And so I was solo parenting my 2 toddlers by myself for a whole week, and I just dropped the bar to 0. I was like, "We can sit and make a blanket fort every day at home and eat pancakes in our blanket fort and watch Bluey and Peppa Pig and Trolls 48 times, and I don't care. Like, you can wear pajamas to daycare. I don't
Right.
care. You're at least clothed," right? And so it was amazing and really lowered my stress
Mhm.
by dropping the bar and having, like, just bare minimum, like, essentials, basically. And I
Yeah.
think if more women approached motherhood and growing a business with that sort of mindset of not trying to be perfect at 100% of everything, but be good at a few things and sort of set what your baseline is, you would just enjoy it a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of, that's interesting because it all kind of like intertwines. The lowering of
Mhm.
the regulating of the nervous system, being more grounded, being more calm, showing up better as a person and as a mom for yourself because you're lowering the stress and regulating and all of that. So yeah, definitely that definitely resonates. What would you say, just speaking of the regular media and what you're trying to combat, what would you say is the number one message that the regular media totally is wrong about working motherhood? The number one thing that you see?
That becoming a mother is a weakness. It makes you less capable or less strong or less driven, or you're too exhausted all the time to do anything, or you're too tired, or you're just too emotional all the time. And we see that in movies and TV shows all the time. I mean, since growing up, we've seen that.
Mm,
And that's the big shift is that I know thousands of working moms who are more ambitious after having kids, who are more driven and focused and like relentless with what they want to achieve and strength. I mean, the whole maternal strength report was literally quantifying how much motherhood increases your leadership skills, and it increases all of them. But the
yes.
media thus far doesn't
Mm,
talk about that, right?
yeah.
So that's the shift is what motherhood builds in you, what motherhood brings and the advantage of motherhood.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Okay, and what would you say there's 2 pieces of this because 'cause I'm a year postpartum,
Mhm,
and I'm full-time working, full-time childcare. That has been the hardest thing to date so far. With that being said, full-time business, full-time so obviously, I'm an entrepreneur versus employee. Obviously, those are 2 different things depending on how you look at it.
mhm.
What would you say to the work has not lost her drive and her ambition, but she also feels like she's failing as a mom because it is just so dang hard. And that first year is like a culture shock. And then you get obviously another one when they become a toddler. That's a whole other thing, apparently. I'm gearing
Yeah,
up for that right now. But before I get there, I'm just in the year postpartum phase and I have huge drive, huge ambition. I'm going for it. I'm figuring things out. But oh my gosh, it is the hardest. It is the hardest season I've ever been in. I feel like I'm failing as a mom if I'm not present because I'm working. And then
mhm,
when and then sometimes I feel like I'm failing at work because I'm just taking time to be with my boy. We're taking a walk outside and I shouldn't feel guilty about that. That's 5, 10 minutes.
mhm.
But it does feel like I need to be working. There's something I should be doing. I own a business. I have a team. There are things I
Yeah.
should be doing. And juggling that is really, really difficult. And it spikes my anxiety like nothing else I've ever experienced. And so, yeah. So, what would you say to a young mom who is still driven and ambitious and is also feeling like they're failing at both at work and with being present with family? And she's having a hard time navigating that to the point where she feels like she's almost lost her drive and ambition because she's so burnt out. But she hasn't. She's just navigating and it's really hard.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I literally built my business with a newborn who refused to sleep anywhere else except attached to me. So I literally bought an iPad because I was like, if I'm going to be stuck contact napping for 2 hours, I need to be more functional on an iPad than on my phone. So I have very much been there. And I think, again, if you set the expectation really high of I want to achieve this and this and this and this and this and this and this every single day, then when you don't meet it and you only get like 80% of the way there, you
Yeah.
feel like you're failing. You didn't get all of it done. Right. And so then you start internalizing that again as I'm failing. I can't do any of this. I can't do it. It's just too much. I mean, you start to get that burnout setting in because you're trying to do just too much in a season that is hard. It is hard. And especially if you are a full time mom and full time entrepreneur, you have
Yeah.
two full time jobs
Yeah.
and in one single day. So I would say the first step is again, lower the expectation and set like a bare minimum. What do you want to accomplish today? Just like one or two things and then check it. I love literally writing things down. I have my notes app has like 5,000 notes on it, and it helps. I need to write it down. I need to see
Mm,
it because otherwise I'll get distracted and then I'm like, "Oh, and I wanna work on that, and I wanna work on that, and I wanna work on that." And I'll just get on a roll, and then at the end of the day, I'll feel like, "Did I even accomplish anything?" Because I was like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes there, and then there again. So, write down, like, 1 or 2 things that bare minimum must
mhm.
get done today,
Yeah.
and then anything else on top of that is fabulous, right?
Mhm.
And it's much easier to hit 1 or 2 things
Yeah.
and feel good about the progress daily because then you can see that progress. And you
Yeah.
don't feel like you're burning out because 'cause you're not internalizing it as a failure because you're
Mhm.
able to get 1 or 2 little things done.
Yeah.
And that way you don't feel guilty when you're going and spending time with your kids because you're like, "I got done what I needed to as the bare minimum for today, so now I can be more present with my son."
Yeah.
And you don't feel as bad about that. And then the last thing I would say is as a entrepreneur, I very much am not perfect on separating my brain between mom mode and work mode, right? Like it's almost 4:30 my time here, so we'll go pick up my kids from daycare, and when
Mhm.
they're home, I'll probably have 1,000 thoughts still about what I wanna work on after we put the kids down to sleep. Or, emails I need to send or ideas for something else, and I'll write it on my notes app, and so I don't have a good, like, work brain mom mode setup, but having a notes list helps so much, especially in that early year postpartum and juggling all of it. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely does. And I think too, it's important to, as you're speaking, I'm thinking it's really important to just redefine what it looks like because we've only been given the main media definition. We've only been given the main, and even to the speaking to the like hustle culture for the entrepreneurship realm. Like if you're not hustling 24/7, if you're not giving it your
Mhm.
all, then you're already behind. This feeling of like you're not doing a good job if you're not constantly working. And if you are, then you're achieving something or you know you gave it your all and now you're going to be successful. But obviously, that's not realistic either. And it's also not healthy to work constantly, although we do end up working a lot of the time. So yeah, there's a little bit of a balance to it, but I think that redefining what it looks like, redefining what success looks redefining what it looks like for us as a person. The pathway is going to look different from another mom who has a business and is full time childcare as well. We all have different
Mhm.
paths, and just giving myself that permission and the space to let it breathe and be what it needs to be
Yeah.
and understand that it's going to change as the kid gets older and the seasons change. And that's okay.
Yeah. I would say that last part's really crucial is that make sure you reassess what that success definition looks like as your kid gets a little bit older. Maybe they sleep a little bit more. Maybe you're coming out of the brain fog a little bit, or you just reassess that because, when I was in the newborn trenches and trying to build a business, my definition of success looked very different than where I am now with 2 toddlers in daycare. So I can work a full day's worth of work 4 days a week and then they're home Wednesdays, right? But so redefine what it looks like, and that's normal. It's normal to go through phases and ebbs and flows, and go easy on yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that's actually one thing that I'd love to quickly just touch on is as we, of course, approach to wrapping up. I want to know what is one thing that you do for self care or one way that you fill your own cup as a mom, especially.
I don't do enough self-care. I go to the gym like
Mm,
4 days a week
nice.
and I lift heavy weights. So that's probably my self-care moment and gets a lot of my energy out. It's also where I have some of my most creative ideas is when I'm at the gym. And like this morning, I literally had a whole like entire notes app with all these ideas. And then I left the gym because I was like, I want to go work on all this stuff. So yeah, I definitely get my creativity spikes when I'm moving. So that's probably my self-care moment. And I'll be honest, I love being super ambitious.
Mhm.
And for me, being able to have an avenue to push my ambition into and do what I do is very cathartic for me and is very fulfilling. for me. So I do fill my cup a lot just by being able to do what I love. So I don't mind working late every night after the kids go to sleep. And should I go get a massage? Absolutely. It's on my to-do list for probably a month from now or 2 months from now or after the event in September, right? Like it's just one thing after the but yeah, I would say the gym is probably where I'm at right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it. Yeah. Okay. The last thing I want to ask is what is it that you would like moms to walk away with as they interact with your brand? What is it that, what's the message? What's the empowerment? Like, what's the goal? What's the mission that you're like, if you get nothing else, I want you to get this thing from us, from interacting with us, from learning from us, from growing with us.
Yep. Yeah, it's that you are stronger and more capable than you think. You have all of the depth and the strength in you, and we're gonna help show you how to find it. That's my job.
That try not to cry. Okay. Anyways,
Sorry.
no, thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for being on this show. It was power packed. I absolutely love it. Love you. Love the things you're working on and the ways that you're empowering motherhood like across the globe. Absolutely incredible, super inspiring. And again, thank you for those of you listening. And if you have not connected or followed or looked into, like, go to motheredmedia.com, go connect with Alexa on LinkedIn, especially, and just reach out. If there's anything from this episode that stood out to you, that resonated with you, reach out, let us know. We're here for you. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to provide that space and that community. So, utilize that and connect, reach out, follow, because this woman is going places. It is so exciting. So inspiring. And I'm, like I said, so honored to have you on. So thank you for your time. And
Thank you.
for everyone else who's listening, as we always like to say at the end, keep making moves, keep showing up, and don't forget to take care of yourself too. And we'll see you next time on our next episode.